beings are political animals.
Politics is about interest.
To understand the present and anticipate the future, one must know the past.
If you see where Jesus was born, that place has never been peaceful. So we are wondering who is in charge of the world.
And this question will not end. As you see, this government cannot just come and say that they should regulate religious leaders.
Get out of politics and I do it myself.
Can you go to heaven without dying?
Welcome to Open Talk Debate. I'm your host, Kato Mukasa, and today we are discussing the topic separation of religion and the state. The question is, should religion be barred from politics? Tonight, we are very privileged to have you, our dear audience, our dear viewers. We're also very privileged to have the best team of the panelists before you. We have Mr. Stephen Asimwe, a Pan-Africanist, and from the NRM Communication Bureau. Mr. Robert Kanusu, a journalist, also the Press Secretary of the UBC President Maramutuno. We have Mr. Mwada. Mr. Mwada Kukunji is a lawyer by profession and is a member of the Uganda Muslim Lawyers Association. We have Honorable Anne Mugisha. Anne Mugisha, I call her Honorable because she is in the making, and she's the Deputy Secretary of International Affairs, FDC. Now, we have another panelist, and that is none other than Mr. Charles Mushana. Mr. Charles Mushana is a seasoned politician. We have Mr. Ngabila John, Mr. Ngabila John, another Pan-Africanist on the debate tonight. And also have the President, Mr. Samuel Walter Vega, presidential candidate 2011. Welcome with me, this team. Give us a kickstart, to give us the beginning. Mr. Chancellor, the floor is yours.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm a Catholic by religion. I've literally finished all the sacraments, save for the ordination of the priest, and maybe that one for the sick. So I know the sacraments, I've done matrimony. So I know how to pray, I've been with the church, and I know how the church operates, and I've been with the state, and I know how we use the church. Now, religion is not spirituality, because it is spirituality, and the spirituality has power. This one, I know it's way back, I've done research in it, but we don't have enough time to discuss it. There are people who have power, and she will tell you that I have decided you will die Monday and at 3, and exactly Monday at 3 you die.
Can you qualify that? Is it true?
That's what I make it very, very difficult to explain to them in this time.
Scientifically, is it possible?
Everything will not be proved scientific.
But
How will I prove you are a man scientifically?
We are doing certain solution.
What I'm telling you is a fact. Now, the problem is how to prove it for you. That's why I have a problem. But if I have time, I will prove it for you. In any case, these things you're talking about in religion, Jesus Christ walked on water, you deny it. It's in the Bible. Therefore, religion, like politics, mobilize around fear. If you don't vote me, you will die of poverty. Then others, of course, they are now changing the tone. If you vote for me, everybody of you will get out of poverty. Like Jesus Christ also came for the poor. He says, happy are the poor for the kingdom of God. So they mobilize around fear. But that's not the day-to-day politics. The day-to-day politics is that you access state power, and as soon as you have access state power, you kill those who oppose you, you exploit them, you rule them. The religious leaders are partners of the managers of the state because all of them are exploiters. Don't be exploiters. There is no sympathy, there is no mercy in the politicians, there is no sympathy, there is no mercy in the religious leaders. The way you see them brutal, buying the people is the way they are when it comes to exploiting them. In my final submission, the difference between a religious leader and a political leader is a similarity. That's the difference between the two. They are similar. Because why should you separate them from politics when they are politicians? They are politicians, but only for them, they want to claim that they are near God. And they understand it, because when Jesus Christ came, he said that the kingdom of God is at hand. In other words, he had come to establish the kingdom of God which was in heaven on earth. And for them, they took that grammar of imperialism, of the establishment of the kingdom of God here literally. And it was not for the French Revolution and other civil wars to separate them from the politicians. It would have been terrible, it would have been worse. So my thesis is that it's redundant to say that they should not be part of politics, because in the first place, they are politicians. If you want to fight politicians together with their religious leaders. If you think they should all remain, because they all belong to the same class, the class of exploiters. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Charles Commissioner. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your point of view. And Commissioner, take on the matter.
We are all political animals. Religious leaders, just like the rest of us, have interests. Politics is about interests. When you're talking about religion and politics, you're simply talking about identity politics and about how people organize themselves in order to secure their interests. Some do it in tribes, some do it in clans. In some more developed countries, they do it in like the labor force, workers, against the industrialists, the people who own capital. In Uganda, unfortunately, due to the history of our politics, but also because of how we identify ourselves, there was a candidate in the last election in our district. Someone called me aside and said, "You are the perfect candidate to take on the incumbent woman MP. You have only one obstacle. You're a Protestant." I say, "What does that mean?" So you see, she's a Catholic. And I'm sorry, I may have been going through all this, but I still get amazed at how this thought process occurs. If you are a Catholic, you would have, she's very, very weak, but Catholics vote together. You are going to lose, not because you are the weaker candidate, but because you are not a Catholic. I spent a lot of time, I pretended this did not influence me. Coincidentally, I lost terribly in Catholic constituencies. What does that say? You cannot separate, at this point, religion from our politics. It's a fact you have to deal with. I'm more concerned about what should the role of religious leaders in Uganda's political setting be today. I think for me that is a question that would provoke a more interesting debate. They are part of the politics, but should it be, I think that their role should really be one of guidance, so that you're not winking with one eye at corruption and at the same time behaving so corruptly. Religious leaders should guide us. They should guide politicians in those areas of ethics.
In other words, they should be out of politics, partisan politics.
Well, I think that it's a very, very tight rope to walk to actually try and wear your collar and go on a stand. So you can do it, it's a tightrope, especially in an environment like this, which, as Romshana correctly pointed out, is a system that you've got to know how to read. If you can't read, don't play the game.
Thank you very much again. We're having Mr. Robert Kanusu.
There is one thing that I want to say. What does religion stand for? I think it stands for doing good. When I talk about religion, for me, I don't look at the people there, because they may be sinners like me. But I look at the Bible itself, the principle of the whole thing. The Bible and the church leaders are meant to stand for the goodness of all of us. And to me, I say, to a certain degree, the church must be involved in politics, because the whole body of politics comes from there. Even here, when the colonizers came, they came with the Bible and the gun. So where things went wrong, they brought in the Bible to harness the situation. And sincerely speaking, if you follow that doctrine, we would have a better society than what we have today. I believe in the genuine religious leaders. I appreciate their role, especially the Catholic Church, which has always been very straight with what it stands for. In the last elections, 2011, February, the Catholic Church came out very clear and said, we believe in free and fair elections. We need a regulated level. Religious leaders must be there and uphold the true doctrine that they stand for. And where need be, even tell those ones who have come in, who go where there are people, as Mr. Romshan and Anna say, that when there are few people, they are not available. But when they gather so many people and carry them in buses, the way Mr. Museveni did during the last campaigns, then they are very comfortable and they will even carry the baskets around to collect.
Then does it mean that they have any true dogmas they stand for? Doctrines, as you said.
Please, don't force me to say what I don't want to say.
Go ahead.
My issues are becoming very clear. I believe that the church should play its role. Many times we the leaders go to the church for prayers and ordination before we start up our campaigns. I myself, even when the campaigns ended, I went to religious leader and I said, please, I thank my God that I thought through these campaigns. They tortured me, but I'm still alive. I'm very happy. I went there because it is our last place to go to. When politics has failed, as I said, that when I'm nothing else, I'll end up as a church member as my last title, man of God. There are some priests, there are some religious leaders who have come up self-styled, who have spoiled the whole thing called religion. And incidentally, they have taken over the biggest chunk of the young men. Because with them, they do what impresses their people. Not saying that for us we stand for the poor. There are those who just stand for the rich, who go where there is bread, there is money. They are busy even to say we are going to pray for the president of Uganda. When they say so, they don't mean President Museveni. They don't say we shall also pray for Dr. Tunu, my president. We shall also pray for Dr. Besigye. We shall also pray for our elder Sam Lubega. They were very selective. And they were even ready to follow him wherever he went for public rallies. Calling him up to lead prayers there. Because after the opening prayer, he said he has a brown envelope to take back home. Those are have spread the whole thing. But I believe in institutions, and church is an institution which is to stick to its role. And even politicians or governments also stick to their role and respect the role. Because at the end of the day, if we respect institutions and work together, it is what brings up what we call democracy. Everyone must be heard. Even religious people are voters. Those priests, the imams, the bishops, they have a stake. They're stakeholders in the whole board of politics. So we can't say we can do away with them. And many times we use them to harness the situation when things go bad. But the problem is the emergence of the fake priests, so-called pastors. They have spoiled the whole thing. Many of them don't even go for any training. They don't know even what they believe in, as Mr. Romshan said. The majority of them don't know even what they believe in.
What's the way forward as conclude?
The way forward is, first of all, we must have respect for institutions. And I generalize all institutions. We must have respect for them. And they must also play their role. If it means playing a regulatory role, let the government do its part. Let the religious leaders do their part. Let the judiciary, let the process, the journalists also do their part. What I have to pray for, since we have young children here, they must be religious. They must respect their religions, but don't necessarily follow leaders. Just follow the Bible. And then to us politicians, with the leaders, we must stick to the principle of democracy.
They don't need to follow religious leaders or political leaders.
Many times they may mislead them. I've been giving you categories in the brief that there are those who just mislead because even themselves don't know
So
where they can lead them.
They can be religious without following religious leaders.
They can follow the Bible. The most important preacher or priest to respect, the elder to respect, is the Bible itself. Read it, internalize it, and provide which line to all the Quran, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kadosi. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a break, and when we come back, the president candidate will be on the floor to tell you about the topic. Thank you very much. Thank you. we are now having ex-presidential candidate Dr. Samuel Walter Munyanya.
Both the church and the state have got a noble responsibility to help in society shape up to the challenges of the day. And we need both institutions, whichever way you look at it. But I would like to begin by saying, let's not be taken up or misguided by the misrepresentations of both institutions. You've had, for example, today in Uganda, where you have the Fountain of Honor, number one senior citizen of this country, who tells you, you know, politics is about lying to the people, about telling lies, politics about stealing from each other, not being trustworthy, and all these things. And he has said it in all different vernaculars, even in Swahili. And then you wonder, what type of leader are we having at the time when we are supposed to bring up our children responsibly and for them to appreciate that some of these institutions are there to defend not only giving good service to our people, but also defending the human dignity. The state is as responsible as the church should be. Of course, the church as well has also been many times been misrepresented. And we tend to take those who misrepresent the church as the examples and to condemn the institution of the church, that it is not doing well, it should be condemned and we should get rid of it. The point I want to make here is that while the church should be a disinterested, like the state, a disinterested institution, it can be sometimes corrupted. These two institutions are supposed, and I use the word supposed, to be infallible. But sometimes they are corrupted by individuals. And when they are corrupted by those individuals, I mean for the state, those in government. Now today you hear Gaddafi, who says those who are demonstrating for their rights, democratic rights, and sometimes electoral rights, must be called cockroaches, must be called rats, and must be referred to as drug addicts. And he is using the institution of the state, not in a good way, but in a bad way, therefore misrepresenting and misusing it. Should religious leaders be linked from partisan politics or the body politic as a whole? I agree, and I want to buy Mr. Kalusu and Madam Anne Mugisha's point of view. Human beings are political animals. Let the religious leaders have the noble responsibility to talk about politics, give their comments, as long as they do not come and participate in partisan politics. They should be over and above partisan politics, just as cultural leaders should be. When does the involvement of the religious leaders in the body politic become unnecessary? I've already said, when they are going to advocate for partisan politics, support this one, not the other one. That is bad, because it can bring problems for the political society of that particular nation. When people do not have a reference point of ideality, then it becomes a problem. I am a DP for your information, and we talk about our core values, and what the most important one is truth and justice. Every time you waver, every time you go astray, you feel that, am I being truthful to those I lead and those I am with in this party and those Ugandans? No. If not, what do I have to do? If religion can play that role and fill up that gap, because it's the politicians mainly who always sway and go astray.
Dr. Walter Muga.
Ladies and gentlemen, Let's work to ensure that our institutions remain incorruptible or uncorrupted. Let's work to ensure that these institutions can always defend humanity, human dignity, and ensure that we deliver the services we need to deliver to our people disinterestedly, not in a biased way. Thank you very much. That is my view.
Thank you very much, Dr. We are having Mr. Gabriel John to give us his take on this.
From the legal point of view, there is no law in this country that stops religious leaders from participating in politics. Therefore, any attempt to stop them is unconstitutional.
The law will tell us that.
And
We have a law in the house.
and anything unconstitutional is invalid. In simple terms, is wrong. Mr. Moderator, I'm very, very concerned that the political appointing authority has been appointing some religious leaders into political positions. The same person says that it is incorrect for religious leaders to participate in politics. In the analysis, this is a double standards, it is dishonesty, it is incorrect. Mr. Moderator, apart from it being a denial of the rights of the religious leaders, it is also undemocratic because it implies that you are limiting the political space, which in my view is also wrong. Mr. Moderator, in addition, I also find that the call of stopping religious leaders from participating in politics is not enforceable because in my view, it is demand driven. In my observation, I have always found that the politicians and other people in society go to religious leaders for consultations and on all affairs, including politics. And you have seen some of them with even the president himself. Therefore, the fact that this is demand driven, it is not enforceable, and we should not waste time about it. After all, it is illegal and it is anti-human rights of the rights of the religious leaders. Mr. Moderator, what I would find rather wrong is if we get religion-based political parties. But for them to make general comments on politics, they are also voters, they are equally affected by the political situation in our country, they should participate in that way.
Thank you very much, Mr. John Galwani. We are having Mwaka Nkunyinji from Uganda Muslim Lawyers Association to balance the debate, please.
I don't think we have an exhaustive explanation on who is a politician, who is not a politician, and what is the political message. That will depend from society to society. But coming to my religion of Islam, it appears, and as it sounds and as it provides, it's a very inclusive religion that up to leadership you find subject matters, and that thus it provokes equally leadership values. It's not, though you may see us as Muslims in Uganda, for example, that when we also get a thief, we report to police, and maybe police files a case, we even can testify in court, and he's given a punishment of maybe imprisonment. We are also aware of our religious concept that had we been in power, and had we had the force, the Sharia law says such a thing, we need to chop off the hand. But we are still existing in the same society, and we are comfortable. In particular, I'm saying, the message of Islam is inclusive. I don't find any boundary, it being political or non-political. It talks of leaders and leadership.
So Islam is political in nature as a religion?
I'm not only citing Islam on politics. I'm saying it's an inclusive religion. The message of Islam is for, in actually the definition you can take the simplest, is that Islam is the total way of life, including the way we live, the way we marry, the way we govern ourselves, and who can be a leader. Though I should mention at this point, Islam does not compel, and there is no comparison in religion. If I meet my friend and he's a Christian, or of any other faith, or even a non-believer, when I'm preaching the message of Islam, I'm not allowed to force you. I can deliver the message, but I'm not allowed to force you. As it does, I cannot hate you because you are not a Muslim, or because you have not joined Islam. Let me come down, and I was mentioning that to show you the differences in the message. and the message of religion per se. Now it comes to who then follow this message. And I think all of us, like from my religion, it is hard to distinguish who is a religious leader and who is not. Personally, I'm an imam in my home, and my children and the wife. I'm the one who leads prayer. Even if you and Mr. Kam, I'm the one who leads there, and I'm a religious leader. Now, if I at that level I'm a religious leader, it comes to a religion like Islam, whereby we only vary in the knowledge of religion, but leadership we all stand at a particular stage. Coming to the country of Uganda, where we all live. First of all, I begin on the north. Under the 1995 Constitution, religion, culture, and all other rights are fundamental, but I'm emphasizing religion is a fundamental right. And I have a right to belong to any religion of my choice. Secondly, even the question goes to other nations that these are not delegable. You cannot just remove, you can't dictate what religion I have, or just remove me from my religion, once it is a religion. And even if there was no constitution in Uganda, I believe I would have been a Muslim because I had my Islamic message. To say that we want to separate religious leaders from politics, also another question comes into my mind. What are you calling politics? And since it is not known what is called politics, I may react to it is known. Politics is known. You may say it is known. Countries and nations are not governed by imagination, that whatever we do. So that all of us will have a different view on various topical issues. So what I know may not actually be what you know. These are issues of variation. Secondly, I know the country and the government as it stands has the power to pass a law banning religion or religious leaders from participating in politics, because we have seen it happening in other areas. But I want to tell you that societal values cannot be managed by legislation. You can't pass a law on eating, you will even pass a law on sneezing. It becomes a contradictory society. Much as you have the power to pass the laws, but you cannot pass on anything per se. You also have to be conscious, and the country is for the people, not actually the leaders. If you are saying religious leaders should not participate in politics, first of all, are you trying to say that they should preach a bit of their message in the religion and leave out a message of leadership or whatever you call politics? Are you trying to establish a religion of yourself? The question of the message of religion becomes another challenging issue. If you are to interfere in the message of religion, then you are creating a new religion, and you must allow people not to follow it, and also others to follow their own religions. The second question of when does the involvement of religious leaders in the body of politics become unnecessary? I think this one just it depends on the test of time. Maybe, for example, we are in a system of governance where people first of all have the right to be in various religions. The same constitution gives them the right to participate in leadership and in politics. Actually, I have not heard of any law which says that if you are a member of this religion or this, you cannot stand for this position. That would be a very unconstitutional gesture. So there is no law barring them, but I know that it can be made. It is not the state to dictate the role of religious leaders. Otherwise, they will become creators of religion and what they should do. They don't normally enforce, but they offer the guidance from, and their message is different, distinct. My message of Islam may not be the same as his, but because we coexist, I have that compromise. That's why I mentioned that the punishment I would as a Muslim I would give a thief would be chopping off the hand. But I'm in society which is inclusive. I cannot judge on Sharia.
I want to thank you so much.
And you can't interfere with the message of Islam. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Viewers and audience, we are going to commercial today. When we come back, we shall have Pastor Mumale and Mr. Asuma and then the audience. Thank you very much. Welcome back on the Open Talk debates. Today, we are discussing the topic, separation of religion and the state. We are asking ourselves, what should be the role of religious leaders in the politics of this country? Mr. Pastor Solomon Malay, what is your take on this?
This topic comes at a very important moment in the history of Uganda. And many people are wondering about the role of religious leaders in the context of Uganda and with regard to politics, I want to refer to Lee Kuan Yew. Lee Kuan Yew said, his former Singapore premier, to understand the present and anticipate the future, one must know the past enough to have a sense of the history of the people. Back home in Uganda, though a secular state, the founders of the nation, despite their diverse faiths, intended its leaders to be guided by God in every undertaking in his service and in the interest of the betterment of Uganda. Hence the motto, for God and my country. Because of such insight, none will take office without solemn oath by the book of their respective religion. The Muslims swear by the Quran, all Christians by the Bible. Religious leaders will be highly respected and consulted on political matters. Then, in determining so, the founders never intended religious leaders to assume state powers or to mix up state matters with religious practice or compel people to believe in one religion and hate the other, but that religious leaders diligently do their part as custodians of morality to ensure that even politicians serve in the best interest of their country, irrespective of religious and political divides. That was the intention of the founders of the Republic of Uganda. What happened years down the road? Years down the road, men and women who had no sense of God, but they were going to church and going to mosques, with no God's will in their lives, often inclined toward their religions, and desirous of promoting their religions, religious agendas, took charge, shrewdly corrupted or recruited religious leaders into the mainstream politics and other state machineries. Consequences are as follows. Let me give you some brief history. When President Amin declared Uganda to be an Islamic country, many people were obliged to convert to Islam. When Idi Amin was overthrown, many Muslims paid the price. You remember the Muslims who were killed in Mbarara. This is a historical fact. What were they being accused of? They were being accused of supporting the government of Amin, even if they didn't know him or even benefited from him. Marginalization occurred and continuous interference in their religious administration has continued to this day. One faction is supported by the state, another is opposed to the state, and that is what has been happening in this country. During the Bush War, President Museveni engaged and convinced many religious leaders like the Anglican Bishop Dunstan Subuga, Catholic Cardinal Subuga, Prince Badru Kakunda, and others to support him and his armed struggle. Some provided funds, others recruited fighters, and others were used as channels of weapons. When he took power, aware that religious leaders can be used, his strategists enlisted politically obsessed religious leaders and witch doctors to spy on their kind. Corrupted by power, many of the enlisted cannot speak out even when they see wrongs being committed. What do we see today? We have pastors who have guns. We have sheikhs and witch doctors who have guns, supporting respective sides and some exploiting state patronage to torment their victims and opponents. We have criminal religious leaders protected by the state who cannot speak out against their protector. And that is very unfortunate. Because religion and the state and politicians are now, there is a problem in this country. Why would religious leaders keep quiet when people tear gassed in one day? Why would religious leaders keep quiet when there is election fraud? They all keep quiet. When there is the removal of term limits, they keep quiet. They are waiting for people to die. And when they die, they come and pray at the funerals. And then they demand tokens that have come to pray. You give me money and transport. Religious leaders with no moral authority. There are also religious leaders with no moral authority to address state misdeeds. Actually, religious leaders, even at the top, find it hard to raise a finger in case of rottenness in state machineries because of their own who are part of the system. What should be the role of religious leaders in Uganda's political setting today? I've identified, and here they are. 1, openly and courageously point out faults of political leaders and what must be done without fear, without favor, and without compromise. I believe no sane politician can order for the arrest of the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda. You remember Bishop Ondama is Ondama of Guru. He did a very wonderful job in the Pony conflict. He showed non-partisanship, and I think that is why Kony listened to him and many of his commanders. Non-partisanship. 3, they should instill morals into political military fiber. Many politicians go to church and to mosques. What are they entertained to? We want this, we want to build, we want donations, and they leave, not change. They go back and do what they are doing, corruption and so on and so forth, because they know that in their respective religions, what they want from them is money. Finally, there is an English philosopher. He's called John Locke. He wrote, governments lack authority in the reign of an individual's conscience. Conscience is something that rational people cannot seek to the government or others to control. This creates a natural right in the liberty of conscience, which must remain protected from any government authority. I affirm we need the state and religious leaders to do their work separately.
Pan-Africans, what's your take on this?
I want to take you back to 2 points only and I finish. First of all, what was the mission of the church in Africa? 1877, 1879, colonization. I am a student of history. You PC, after if you read Professor Mutiba, it is United Protestants of Canterbury, not people. DP, it is been about after the presidential candidate has not told you the truth. Why DP has been stagnating in this country? It is its contract with the Catholic Church. And whoever wants to stand, they think you can pass through somewhere in the church and go to State House. Then again, because of the African nature of politics, if you are a Protestant, Uganda was colonized by the British. So they know the British no longer wants the Catholic states that rise to power. They can come, but accidentally.
Mr. Simwe,
yes.
Therefore, should we separate the two?
They can't be separated. It is like separating mango with fiddle. They can't.
You are valid on this.
I am convinced because they live with us. When you get the most corrupted people in Uganda, you find their church leaders. So they are with us. This man has failed even to tell you how the struggles he has been with in Sodom, in what. So the church leaders are in contracts, the church leaders are what, but I don't blame them, they are part of this society. If you guys started evolution of society, you can know. And I can't blame them. Mr. Chairman, because we don't have time, I have to be brief like those who are swearing guilty, but
yes.
I have two issues. Somebody said the state should not regulate. No, the state, since you are in power, you have to regulate. What if you get my friend here becoming like Chipgate? What do you do? Because the church, if you read Karl Marx, one of those who did a lot of economics and wrote economics and did, Karl Marx says that religion is the poison to society. In fact, you find even some people who are religious than God. How can you go for a crusade for 3 weeks praying to God when the Chinese are making 2 sticks and other things? God help me. Actually, we ask God so much. That's why sometimes we don't get everything.
Mr. Simwe.
So, Mr. Chairman, when you read the Bible, they will tell you St. Paul wrote letter to the what?
Galatians.
To the Galatians. Now, we are the Wanyangwari, we are the Waganda, and the ones reading St. Paul's letter to the Galatians. They can even take us to court for reading the people's letters. They will tell you that he died for us, but he died before he was born. So which mistake had I committed? So these are colonial entities. This was imperialism. But we can live with it like we have been living with other issues.
Thank you very much, Mr.
So, Mr. Chairman, finally, I want to state clearly that A man called Mbuga, actually Francis Mbuga, said that when a dry thunder tears up the sky before our eyes, do we forget the storm of yesterday? Do we forget the genocide which was caused by the Catholic Church and the Sarko of France? Do we forget the Kone who is Rhodes resistance? What? Rhodes resistance. Do you forget the churches here, Sodom and killing what? So the church are part of us, they are part of our society, they are also a problem like anything. Actually, let me tell you, if you enter any church, they will tell you people have died, others have not. So you stand up and we sing the same.
What do we do? So we should leave it as it is.
No. Why even this debate has come is because our people are weak mentally and economically.
So what do we do?
Countries which have developed like China no longer have this debate because it is not necessary.
So
can you go to heaven without dying? You ask any excuse. Can you go to heaven without dying? As the Chinese are going to the moon, all of you are on Sunday saying, let us go to heaven. If they can't make a bicycle, how will you fly to heaven? Don't go. I
thank you very much.
Religious leaders should take part in politics because they are also citizens of Uganda.
Are these religious leaders have the moral authority to be involved in the national politics? 2, what kind of integrity are these leaders having?
The problem here is poor civilization. Semi-civilized individuals in the government want to use state power to discriminate against others because they are not civilized.
Get out of politics and I do it myself. He told the religious leaders. Who was this? Was he the president of Uganda? They were his words then.
When you are a religious leader or not, don't take your religion in public matters. For instance, if you believe in Sharia, don't take your Sharia to the public square. Because there are people who are not Muslims, there are people who are pagans, people who are humans like me. Therefore, your participation should be your humanity as a human being.
Religious leaders should be left out of politics because they are the pillars entitled in guiding politicians biblically. Therefore, if they join politics, who will do this work since the world is running astray? Therefore, I conclude by saying that religious leaders should not join politics.
If they are to take part, we shall be seeing many kinds of dubious behavior, such as corruption and embezzlement of funds, hence leading to corruption in churches.
Unlike in the Bible, where by then the religious leaders could make the kings, today the kings are making the religious leaders. Nathan by then could go to the king and tell him, today you are wrong. Today it's the politicians who are telling the religious leaders what to do.
These religious leaders shouldn't participate in politics because all in all they will end up advertising religious issues and leave out the political issues.
Thank you very much. I always do that. Thank you for the show. Thank you so much.